Meanwhile, in Coruscant's mid-levels, where millions live between the clouds and the depths, a climate control technician and their faithful R4 unit navigate a rare day off, even as Gratitude Day preparations hum through the city planet's endless corridors. Welcome, friend. You've found your way to another quiet corner of worlds, both vast and intimate. Tonight we're stepping into a small apartment on Coruscant. Not the gleaming Senate towers, not the dangerous depths, but the working levels where ordinary people live ordinary lives in the most extraordinary city in the galaxy. Here, in a modest residential block on level 2847, you'll discover that even on a planet-wide metropolis of trillions, someone still needs to check climate regulators, run simple errands, and find peace in small moments of rest. So before we settle into this day together, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, so we can keep bringing you more tales from the ordinary side of extraordinary places. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from tonight, whether you're on a city planet or somewhere quieter. It's always good to know who's sharing these peaceful hours. Now get comfortable, let the quiet hush of rest settle over you, and allow the small steady moments of a day off on Coruscant to guide you gently towards sleep. The gentle chime of your alarm pulls you from sleep at 847 hours, later than usual, a small luxury that marks this as a day off. Your apartment is dark except for the pale blue glow of the climate control panel near the door, its steady light confirming that temperature and air quality are optimal. You've lived in this studio apartment on level 2847 of Coruscant's Uskru district for 4 years now, and you've learned to read that panel like some people read the weather. The blue glow means everything is working exactly as it should. You lie still for a moment, letting your eyes adjust to the dimness, listening to the sounds that define life in the mid-levels, the gentle hum of ventilation systems moving processed air through the building's circulation network, the distant rumble of a transport tube carrying morning commuters to their shifts, the muffled sounds of neighbours, someone's shower running through the walls, a door closing down the hall, the faint audio from a holovid in the apartment above yours. These sounds are the constant soundtrack of mid-level life, so familiar that their absence would be more noticeable than their presence. The apartment is small, 8 meters by 6 meters of living space that serves as bedroom, living room, and kitchen in one efficient unit. The ceiling is standard height for mid-level residential, 2.4 meters, high enough to avoid feeling cramped but low enough to make climate control manageable. The walls are the neutral grey that characterises most residential construction, though you've hung a few posters and a small shelf with personal items to make the space feel more like home. Your sleeping platform occupies one corner, a standard residential bunk with storage drawers underneath, where you keep spare clothes, work equipment, and personal belongings. The mattress is firm but comfortable, broken in over years of use to match the contours of your body. The blanket is regulation thermal weave, distributed by the housing authority, but perfectly adequate. It maintains comfortable temperature without needing to adjust the room's climate controls overnight, saving credits on your monthly utility bill. You sit up slowly, feet finding the cool metal floor. The flooring throughout the apartment is standard industrial grating, the kind used in millions of residential units across Coruscant's mid-levels. It's easy to clean, durable enough to last decades, and allows air circulation from the climate vents below. You've put down a few floor mats in key areas, one beside the bed, one near the food prep station, one by the door, to make the space feel less industrial and more lived in. The viewport that serves as your apartment's only window shows the view you've woken to for 4 years. The building across the traffic lane, maybe 30 meters away, its thousands of windows creating a grid of light and shadow. Some windows are dark, their occupants already departed for work. Others glow with interior lighting as people move through their morning routines. You can see into a few apartments directly across. A Rhodian family eating breakfast at their small table, a human working at a computer terminal, someone you can't quite identify doing what looks like exercise. This is the nature of mid-level living. Privacy is theoretical, separation is minimal, and millions of lives unfold in close proximity, each person simultaneously alone and surrounded by others. The chrono on your wall shows 0851 hours in the standard Coruscant time that governs all official business, though the numbers mean less on a planet where day and night are determined by artificial lighting rather than solar cycles. Still, the rhythms persist. Morning shifts start around 800, day shifts around 1200, evening shifts around 1800, and night shifts around midnight. These patterns create the pulse of the city, the flow of workers moving through transportation networks in predictable tides. In the corner near your food prep station, R4K8 emits a soft whistle, her morning greeting, the sound she makes when her internal chronometer indicates you should be waking. You've had Kate, the name you've given her shortened from her designation, for 3 years now, assigned to you when you completed your certification as a climate control technician. R4 units, a standard issue for maintenance workers in the mid-levels, designed for technical assistance and system diagnostics. Kate is painted in the standard white and blue colour scheme, though she's acquired some scratches and scuff marks over the years that you've never bothered to buff out. They give her character. Good. Morning, Kate, you say, your voice rough with sleep. Anything urgent? Kate's dome rotates slightly, her optical sensor focusing on you, and she emits a series of beeps and whistles that you've learned to interpret over years of working together. The message is clear. No urgent maintenance alerts, no emergency calls, all building systems functioning within normal parameters. In other words, your day off is actually a day off, at least so far. You stand and stretch, feeling the small pops and tensions in your back and shoulders that come from years of climbing through maintenance tunnels and reaching into tight spaces to service climate regulators. The work keeps you in reasonable shape. There's a lot of physical activity in climbing ladders and carrying equipment, but it also creates its own particular set of aches and stiffnesses. A day off means your body can recover slightly before the next shift cycle begins. The refresher station occupies a small alcove separated from the main room by a sliding privacy panel. The space is barely large enough to turn around in, but it contains everything necessary. A sonic shower that uses sound waves instead of water. Water showers are luxury items in the mid-levels, requiring expensive plumbing and resource allocation. A small sink with actual running water for washing hands and face, and a standard waste reclamation unit. You slide the panel closed and begin your morning routine. The sonic shower takes 3 minutes and uses a fraction of the resources that water would require. You stand in the small booth while sound waves vibrate at frequencies that dislodge dirt and oils from your skin, leaving you feeling clean, if not quite as refreshed as water would provide. The sensation is slightly odd, a tingling vibration rather than the warmth of water. But you've been using sonic showers since you moved to Coruscant 7 years ago, and the feeling has become familiar. The small mirror above the sink shows you the same face you see every morning. Human, mid-30s, with the slightly pale complexion that comes from living in artificial light year-round. Your hair needs cutting soon. It's starting to touch your collar, getting close to the maximum length allowed for maintenance workers who need to wear safety helmets. Your eyes show the slight redness of someone who spent yesterday's 12-hour shift in the dry air of climate control tunnels. Nothing that rest and a day off won't help. You dress in civilian clothes rather than your work coveralls, a comfortable shirt and pants in neutral colours, the kind of practical clothing that everyone wears in the mid-levels. No corporate logos, no fancy fabrics, just simple garments that are easy to clean and durable enough to last several years. Your work boots stay by the door. Today you wear your walking shoes, broken in and comfortable for the errands you're planning. The food prep station is minimal. A small counter with a compact heater unit, storage for shelf-stable foods, and a water dispenser connected to the building's reclamation system. The water on Coruscant is perfectly safe, recycled and purified through multiple stages of processing, but it has a slight metallic taste that you've learned to ignore. You fill a cup and drink slowly, hydrating after the night's sleep. Breakfast is simple, a ration bar from your supply, supplemented with a piece of fruit you bought 2 days ago from a vendor near your work site. The ration bar is standard nutrition, compressed proteins, carbohydrates, and vitamins in a dense, shelf-stable form that will last for years if properly stored. The taste is bland, but not unpleasant, designed to be inoffensive rather than exciting. The fruit, a Corellian apple, probably grown in one of the agricultural levels and shipped to the mid-levels for sale, is a small luxury, crisp and sweet, a break from the monotony of ration bars. Kate rolls over to your small table, really just a fold-down platform attached to the wall, and extends a data pad from one of her tool slots. You take it and review the information she's displaying, building maintenance logs, climate system reports from your residential sector, and a reminder that tomorrow you're scheduled for a 12-hour shift servicing the commercial district 3 levels down. But today is yours. Thanks, Kate, you say, returning the data pad. What's the weather today? Kate whistles and you smile at the question. There is no weather on Coruscant, not in the traditional sense. The planet's entire surface is covered with city, and atmospheric conditions are managed by massive climate control systems that maintain optimal temperature and air quality. But weather has become slang for traffic conditions. How busy the transportation networks are, how crowded the corridors will be, whether today is a good day to run errands or better to stay inside. Kate's data indicates moderate traffic levels. Gratitude Day is 3 days away, and while many people are working extra shifts to handle the increased demand for various services, the actual holiday will create a temporary lull in activity. Today, most people are working normal schedules, which means the transportation systems will be busy but not overwhelmed. You finish your breakfast and clean your dishes in the small sink, using minimal water to rinse the cup and plate before placing them in the sanitizer drawer. The sanitizer uses UV light to sterilize dishes without requiring the high water usage of traditional washing. Like everything in mid-level living, efficiency is prioritized over luxury. Your datapad chimes softly, a message from your neighbor across the hall, Mira, a Twi'lek woman who works as a data processor on level 2849. The message is brief. Still planning to check that climate regulator today? No rush, just want to make sure my apartment doesn't freeze before Gratitude Day. Thanks. You'd forgotten about that. Last week, Mira mentioned that her apartment's climate control was acting erratic. Too cold in the morning, too warm in the afternoon, and you'd offered to take a look during your next day off. It's the kind of small favour that neighbours do for each other in the mid-levels. You have technical skills, so you help with maintenance issues. Mira is good with administrative systems, so she helps people navigate housing authority bureaucracy. Informal exchange of skills keeps the community functioning when official resources are stretched thin. You reply, I'll stop by this afternoon after I run some errands. Should take about 30 minutes to diagnose. The day is taking shape now. Some errands that need running, a small repair job for a neighbour, maybe a chance to explore the level a bit, since you don't often have time during work days. Nothing urgent, nothing demanding, just the quiet rhythm of a day off in the mid-levels of the greatest city planet in the galaxy. Kate emits an inquisitive whistle, and you nod. Yeah, we should probably head out soon. Want to hit the supply depot before it gets too crowded. You ready? Kate's affirmative beep is cheerful, her dome rotating in what you've come to recognise as her equivalent of nodding. You check that you have your cred chip, your identification card, and your datapad, then grab your shoulder bag from its hook near the door. The bag is standard mid-level issue, reinforced fabric with multiple pockets, carried by millions of workers across Coruscant. Inside, you keep a small toolkit, habit from being a technician. You never know when you might need a spanner or a testing probe. The door to your apartment slides open with a soft hiss, revealing the corridor beyond. The hallway is 3 meters wide with doors every 6 meters on both sides. Standard residential configuration for mid-level housing blocks. The lighting is steady and artificial, bright enough to see clearly, but not so bright as to feel harsh. The walls are the same neutral grey as your apartment, marked only by door numbers in standardized fonts. Kate rolls out into the corridor, her wheels making soft clicking sounds against the metal grating of the floor. You follow, letting the door slide shut behind you. The lock engages automatically. Basic security that's standard in all residential buildings, and you hear the soft beep confirming that the door is sealed. The corridor stretches in both directions, lined with doors that lead to apartments identical to yours, each one home to 1 or 2 people living their own ordinary lives in the extraordinary city. Some doors show personal touches, nameplates, decorative elements, small wreaths that suggest upcoming Gratitude Day celebrations. Most are unmarked, anonymous portals that could lead anywhere, but actually lead to the same basic living spaces repeated thousands of times across this single building. You head toward the lift station at the end of the corridor, Kate rolling beside you with the quiet efficiency that makes her such a good companion. Her presence is comforting. After 3 years of working together, she feels less like a tool and more like a partner, someone whose rhythms and responses you understand intuitively. The day has begun, quiet and unremarkable, exactly as a day off should be. The mid-levels of Coruscant await, with their markets and corridors and millions of ordinary people going about their ordinary lives. And for the next 12 hours or so, you're one of them. Not a climate control technician with responsibilities and schedules, just a resident running errands and taking care of small tasks on a day that belongs entirely to you. The lift station serves this entire residential section, 32 floors of apartments stacked vertically, each floor housing approximately 400 residents. The lift system is one of the critical infrastructure elements that makes high-density housing possible on Coruscant. Without reliable vertical transportation, buildings this tall would be impractical for daily living. You've spent enough time servicing climate systems in lift shafts to appreciate the engineering that goes into keeping millions of lift cars moving smoothly through the city planet's endless vertical corridors. 3 other residents wait at the lift station when you arrive. A human woman in retail worker's uniform, probably heading to her shift. An older Sullustan man with a shopping bag, returning from some early morning errand, and a young Zabrak couple holding hands, dressed casually enough to suggest they're not heading to work. The universal ritual of waiting for lifts, standing in polite silence, watching the indicator lights that show which lift is approaching, everyone carefully not making eye contact, but remaining aware of everyone else's presence. The indicator chimes, and the middle lift arrives. The doors slide open to reveal a car that's already carrying maybe 15 people. Standard density for mid-morning traffic. Everyone shuffles to make room as your small group enters. Kate rolls in beside you, occupying the space of about 1 person, and emits a polite beep that some of the passengers smile at. Droids are common enough in the mid-levels that no one pays much attention, but Kate has a personality that sometimes gets positive reactions from strangers. You request level 2840 on the control panel, down 7 levels to the commercial sector where the supply depot is located. The lift system on Coruscant uses sophisticated routing algorithms to minimize travel time. Instead of stopping at every floor, the lifts batch passengers heading in the same general direction and make selective stops that optimize efficiency. The mathematics involved is complex, but the practical result is that you might descend directly to your destination or make several stops along the way, depending on what the system calculates as most efficient. The lift descends smoothly, the gentle deceleration barely perceptible as the car moves through the building's central shaft. Through the transparent sections of the lift shaft, a design feature added years ago to help reduce the claustrophobia of high-density living, you can see other lifts moving up and down, part of the constant vertical traffic that keeps the mid-levels functioning. The view through the shaft shows glimpses of other floors, corridors, residential units, commercial spaces, all of it stacked in the vertical city that characterizes Coruscant's architecture. The lift makes one stop at level 2844, where a family of Bothans exits, carrying bags that suggest they're heading out for some kind of day trip. Then the descent continues down to 2840, where the doors open onto a wide corridor marked with commercial signage. This is one of the service levels, floors designed specifically for commerce and resource distribution rather than housing. The corridors here are wider than in residential sections, designed to handle higher foot traffic and the movement of cargo. You and Kate exit into the flow of mid-morning foot traffic. The corridor is busy, but not crowded. Maybe 50 people visible in the immediate area, moving in both directions with the purposeful stride of people running errands or heading to work. The demographic mix of the mid-levels is on full display. Humans, Twi'leks, Rhodians, Duros, Sulastans, Zabrak, and dozens of other species, all living and working in close proximity, all dressed in the practical, modest clothing that characterizes working-class Coruscant. The walls here are different from residential levels, still grey metal, but decorated with advertising panels, directional signage, and public information screens. One screen shows the current time and temperature, 0997 hours, 20 degrees Celsius. Another displays news feeds from the Senate District, and a third advertises housing availability on the lower levels, cheaper rent but higher crime rates. Everyone in the mid-levels knows the trade-offs. The ventilation on commercial levels is more aggressive than in residential areas, creating a constant breeze that keeps the air fresh despite the high foot traffic. The smell is distinctly mid-level Coruscant, recycled air with hints of food from nearby vendors, the faint ozone scent from electronic equipment, cleaning solutions used to maintain the corridors, and underneath it all, the particular smell of many people living in close proximity. Not unpleasant, just densely human, or rather, densely inhabited by sentient beings of many species. The supply depot is 3 corridors away, and you navigate the route automatically after 4 years of living in this sector. Left at the junction, straight past the food vendors, you'll stop there on the way back, right at the transit station, and there it is. Mid-level supply collective, level 2840, in basic and several other common languages. The depot is a large open space, maybe 40 meters by 30 meters, filled with shelves and display units containing everything residents of the mid-levels need for daily living. Supply depots are quasi-governmental operations subsidized by the housing authority to ensure that basic goods remain affordable for working-class residents. They stock shelf-stable foods, basic clothing, cleaning supplies, small electronics, replacement parts for standard apartment fixtures, and thousands of other items. The prices are reasonable because the operation isn't designed to maximize profit, just to ensure that residents can afford the essentials. Private shops and vendors offer more variety and higher quality, but for everyday needs, the depots are where most mid-level residents do their shopping. You grab a basket from the stack near the entrance, basic metal mesh designed to be durable and easy to sanitize, and start down the first aisle. Kate rolls beside you, her sensors scanning the shelves in a way that always makes you smile. She's a maintenance droid, not a shopping assistant, but she's adapted to civilian tasks with an efficiency that suggests she enjoys the variety. The first item on your mental list is ration bars. You're running low and want to stock up before Gratitude Day, when supply depots get crowded with people doing the same preparation. The nutrition section occupies most of the first 3 aisles. Ration bars in dozens of varieties, all tasting approximately the same despite the labels, protein supplements, vitamin packets, dried fruits and vegetables, and the compressed meal packets that spacers and travellers prefer. You select 2 boxes of ration bars. Standard nutrition blend, 30 bars per box, enough to last about a month if you supplement with occasional fresh food from vendors. The boxes are identical to the ones you've been buying for years. Plain brown packaging with nutritional information printed in small text. No marketing or branding, just functional food designed to keep billions of people adequately nourished. You place them in your basket and move on. Kate emits a curious warble, her optical sensor focusing on a shelf of droid maintenance supplies. You pause to look. Lubricants, replacement sensors, battery packs, diagnostic tools. Need anything? You ask her, and she responds with a short beep sequence that you interpret as a request for joint lubricant. Fair enough. She's due for routine maintenance, and doing it yourself saves the credits you'd spend at a service centre. You add a container of multi-purpose lubricant to your basket, making a mental note to service Kate's joints this evening. The container is small, maybe 200 millilitres, but it will last for months of routine maintenance. The price is reasonable, and the brand is one you've used before, with good results. The cleaning supplies aisle is next. Your apartment is small enough that cleaning is simple, but it still requires regular attention to prevent the accumulation of dust and grime that comes from living in a densely populated building with recycled air. You need surface cleaner, sanitizing wipes, and a replacement filter for your small air purifier, a luxury item you saved for months to afford, but one that makes the apartment noticeably more pleasant. The filter selection is organized by air purifier model, and you find yours quickly, a standard mid-range unit that's common in the mid-levels. The replacement filter is packaged in clear plastic, showing the white filtration media that will trap particulates and help reduce odours. The package lists the expected lifespan as 3 to 4 months, which matches your experience. You add it to your basket, which is starting to feel heavier. A family is shopping in the same aisle, a Twi'lek couple with 2 children. The kids excited about something while the parents compare prices on cleaning products. The children are young enough to find the depot interesting, pointing at different items and asking questions in voices that carry across the aisle. The parents respond with the patient explanations that parenting seems to universally require in any culture, in any species. The scene is so ordinary, so unremarkable, that it becomes almost beautiful in its normalcy. Just a family running errands, maintaining their small piece of the mid-levels. You continue through the depot, adding items to your basket. A replacement light panel for your apartment, the current one is starting to flicker. A package of utility cloths that you use for everything from drying dishes to cleaning work equipment, and a small bottle of multivitamin supplements that help compensate for the diet limitations of mid-level living. The depot is busier now than when you entered, more people arriving for late morning shopping before heading to work or after finishing overnight shifts. The checkout lines are starting to form, maybe 6 or 7 people deep at each of the 5 open terminals. You join the shortest line and wait patiently, Kate beside you emitting soft processing sounds as she updates her internal logs. The person ahead of you in line is an older human man with a basket full of food supplies, clearly stocking up for Gratitude Day, based on the quantity of fresh vegetables and the large protein packet that's probably intended for a family meal. He glances at your basket, then at Kate, and nods in the way that strangers sometimes acknowledge each other in shared spaces. You nod back, the minimal social interaction that passes for conversation in places where millions of people exist in close proximity. The line moves steadily forward as checkout terminals process transactions with automated efficiency. The depot uses simple scanners that read the price tags on each item, calculate the total, and charge it to your cred chip. No human interaction required unless something goes wrong. It's not unfriendly, just efficient, designed to move customers through quickly during busy periods. Your turn arrives, and you place your items on the scanner platform one at a time. The system reads each tag and adds the price to your running total, displayed on a screen you can see. ration bars 34 credits, droid lubricant 12 credits, air filter 27 credits, light panel 18 credits, utility cloths 8 credits, cleaning supplies 15 credits, vitamins 9 credits. Total 123 credits, which is about average for a basic supply run. You touch your cred chip to the payment reader and the transaction completes instantly. The screen flashes "Payment accepted, thank you" in multiple languages, and a small printer dispenses a receipt that you fold and tuck into your pocket. The whole process takes less than a minute, efficient, functional, and entirely unremarkable. Kate extends a compartment from her chassis, one of her cargo spaces, and you pack most of the items inside. The heavier items go in your shoulder bag, distributed to balance the weight. With everything secured, you're ready to continue the day's errands. The exit leads back to the main corridor, where foot traffic has continued to increase as the morning progresses. You pause to check your data pad. 1008 hours. The morning is advancing at its own pace, and you have plenty of time before you need to check on Mira's climate control issue. The rhythm of the day feels good. Productive without being rushed. Purposeful without being stressful. Next stop, Kate? You ask, though you already know the answer. The hardware vendor on level 2839 carries a replacement seal you need for a climate regulator that's been giving you trouble. Might as well pick it up while you're out. Even on days off, your identity as a technician shapes how you move through the world. Kate beeps confirmation, and together you head toward the lift station. Just 2 more figures in the endless flow of mid-level Coruscant, running errands and navigating the day with quiet competence. The lift from level 2840 to 2839 takes less than 30 seconds. Barely time to register movement before the doors are opening again. Level 2839 is primarily industrial and commercial, with fewer residential units and more businesses catering to maintenance and repair services. This is where workers come to get equipment serviced, to buy specialized tools, to consult with technical experts about systems that require professional attention. The atmosphere is different from the supply depot level. Less retail, more focused, the clientele consisting mainly of people who work with their hands. The corridor lighting here is brighter and whiter, designed for detailed work rather than comfortable residential illumination. The walls show more wear, scuff marks from equipment being transported, patched sections where repairs have been made, to infrastructure, exposed conduit runs that would be hidden in residential areas. This is the working face of Coruscant, the machinery of daily life, visible rather than concealed behind polished surfaces. You navigate toward Hendrix Hardware and Technical Supply, a shop you've been patronizing for 3 years. Hendrik is a basilisk, 4-armed, which makes him incredibly efficient when serving multiple customers who ran a similar shop on a mining station in the Outer Rim before retiring to Coruscant 5 years ago. His shop occupies a corner unit with windows on 2 sides, the glass covered with advertisements for various brands of tools and equipment. The door slides open with a pleasant chime, and you step into a space that smells like machine oil and metal, the distinctive scent of technical work. The shop is narrow but deep, with shelves rising to the 3-meter ceiling, every surface covered with parts, tools, components, and equipment. The organization seems chaotic to outsiders, but Hendrik knows where everything is, and regular customers learn to navigate the space through familiarity. Kate rolls in behind you, and from somewhere in the back of the shop, Hendrik's voice booms. "That you, friend? Be right there. Just finishing up with something." "No rush," you call back, already moving toward the section where climate control parts are organized. You've been here often enough to know the layout, and you're comfortable browsing while Hendrik completes whatever he's working on. The climate control section is well stocked. Seals, gaskets, filters, sensors, control modules, and hundreds of other components that keep Coruscant's environmental systems functioning. You find the seal you need quickly, a T-model gasket rated for high-pressure systems, packaged in a small plastic case with the manufacturer's specifications printed on the label. This particular seal has been giving you trouble on a regulator in your work sector. It's degraded enough to cause minor pressure fluctuations. Not enough to trigger alerts, but enough to bother you as a technician who takes pride in maintaining systems properly. You grab 2 seals, one for the work repair and one spare to keep in your personal toolkit, and continue browsing. The browsing isn't purposeful shopping so much as professional curiosity. You like to see what new products are available, what innovations have been introduced, what solutions might help with recurring maintenance challenges. There's a new type of sensor calibration tool that looks interesting, and an upgraded diagnostic scanner that claims to be more accurate than the standard unit you carry for work. You make mental notes but don't purchase. The tools you have work fine, and credits are better saved than spent on incremental improvements. Hendrik emerges from the back room, wiping his hands on a rag that's probably been the same shade of oil-stained grey for years. His forearms move independently as he checks on various aspects of the shop, straightening a display, adjusting an item on a shelf, tossing the rag onto a workbench, and waving in greeting all simultaneously. "Good to see you. Day off today." His voice is naturally loud, the result of growing up in mining facilities where ambient noise required volume to be heard. "Yeah, running errands. Need these T-model seals, you say, holding up the packages?" Hendrik nods approvingly. "Good seals, those. Manufacturer improved the rubber compound about 6 months ago. They last maybe 20% longer now. You doing work or homework?" Work and also going to check a neighbour's climate control later. She's getting temperature fluctuations. Probably the same issue. Degraded seals causing pressure variations. Check the regulator manifold first. That's where they usually fail. Hendrik moves behind his counter, and you follow, Kate rolling along beside you. The counter is covered with various items, a disassembled servo motor, several data pads showing schematics, a half-empty cup of what looks like caf, probably cold by now, and a small holoprobe just showing what might be a grandchild or possibly just a random image Hendrik finds pleasant. The organised chaos of someone who works in the space where they live, who doesn't distinguish sharply between personal and professional life, because both are equally important. Hendrik scans your seals, and the price appears on his terminal. 16 credits total. Reasonable, especially considering these are quality components that will last months or years depending on usage. You touch your cred chip to the reader, and Hendrik bags your purchase in a simple brown bag that's probably been reused dozens of times. "Gratitude Day coming up," Hendrik says conversationally, while completing the transaction. "You doing anything special?" "Not really. Probably work a half shift if they need coverage, then stay in my apartment." "You?" "Got family coming from 3 levels up. Whole clan gathering. Maybe 20 people crammed into my place. Loud, chaotic, exactly what the holiday's supposed to be." Hendrik's forearms gesture expansively, conveying both exasperation and genuine pleasure at the prospect. "You're welcome to stop by if you want. Always room for one more at the table." The invitation is genuine, but not expected to be accepted. This is the nature of polite conversation in the mid-levels. Invitations are offered as expressions of goodwill, and declining doesn't cause offence because everyone understands the boundaries between neighbourly friendliness and actual social commitment. "Thanks for the offer. I'll probably keep it quiet this year," you reply, and Hendrik nods understanding. Kate emits a polite beep, her way of saying hello to Hendrik, who has serviced her mechanical systems a few times when you needed more than basic maintenance. Hendrik addresses her directly. "How are your hydraulics, Kate? Still getting smooth rotation?" Kate beeps affirmatively, her dome swivelling to demonstrate the smoothness Hendrik asked about. Hendrik nods approval. Good. You keeping your operator here in line? Making sure they use proper tools and not jury-rigging everything?" Kate's responding. Warble sounds almost like amusement, and you can't help but smile. "She keeps me honest," you confirm. You chat for a few more minutes, the kind of casual conversation that regular customers and shopkeepers fall into. discussing nothing important, but maintaining the social connections that make commercial relationships more pleasant. Hendrik mentions that he's got a shipment of upgraded power cells arriving next week, and you make a mental note to stop by and look at them. The conversation winds down naturally, and you head for the door with your purchase. Back in the corridor, you check your datapad. 10:47 hours. The hardware vendor and supply depot errands are complete, which means you're ahead of schedule. Mira isn't expecting you until afternoon, and you don't have any other pressing tasks. The day stretches ahead with pleasant emptiness, time to fill as you choose, without obligations or deadlines. Want to walk for a bit? You ask Kate. We could take the long way back, see what's going on. Kate's affirmative beep is cheerful, and you set off down the corridor away from the lift station, choosing exploration over efficiency. This is what days offer for, the luxury of taking indirect routes, of seeing your neighbourhood from different angles, of being a participant in the mid-level's daily life, rather than someone rushing through it on the way to somewhere else. The corridor leads past various businesses, a small restaurant advertising authentic outer rim cuisine. Probably not authentic, but mid-level residents aren't picky. A repair shop specialising in domestic appliances, a medical clinic with a waiting area visible through its transparent doors, and a shop selling religious and cultural items for the dozens of faiths practiced across Coruscant's diverse population. Each storefront is a small window into the needs and lives of the millions who call this level home. A group of maintenance workers passes you going the opposite direction. 3 humans and a Duros, all wearing the same coveralls you wear during work shifts, all carrying tool bags similar to yours. You exchange nods of professional recognition, the silent acknowledgement between people who do similar work. They're probably heading to a service call while you're enjoying a day off, but tomorrow the situation will reverse, and someone else will have free time while you're climbing through maintenance tunnels. The corridor opens into a small plaza, an architectural feature designed to break up the monotony of endless corridors and provide gathering space for residents. The plaza is maybe 20 meters across, with benches arranged around the perimeter and a central feature that might be decorative or might be functional infrastructure, disguised as art. It's sometimes hard to tell on Coruscant. A few people sit on the benches, someone eating a meal from a food vendor, an elderly Sullustan reading a datapad, 2 Twi'lek teenagers engaged in animated conversation. You take a seat on an empty bench, Kate parking herself beside you, and simply observe for a few minutes. This is one of the small pleasures of city life, watching other people exist, seeing the patterns and rhythms of daily activity, being part of the collective, human and non-human experience of navigating life in a crowded, complex environment. A woman walks by, pushing a hovercart loaded with fabrics, probably a merchant transporting inventory between shops. A man in business attire hurries past, checking his datapad repeatedly, clearly late for something. A droid, a different model than Kate, maybe a protocol unit, glides through the plaza, making announcement sounds that you can't quite make out from this distance. Children's laughter echoes from somewhere nearby, though you can't see the source. The plaza exists on every commercial level in varying configurations, a design principle implemented by city planners centuries ago, who understood that even in the densest urban environment, people need occasional open space, places where the corridors widen and the ceiling feels higher and the sense of compression eases slightly. The plazas don't provide much relief. They're too small and too crowded for that, but they provide enough. The psychological difference between endless corridor and occasional plaza is meaningful, even if the physical difference is minimal. Your datapad chimes softly, a message from your supervisor, which surprises you on a day off. You open it. Hope you're enjoying your downtime. Just a heads up that we've got a major system check scheduled for 2 days after Gratitude Day. Might need you for overtime if you're available. Let me know, no pressure. You reply with a simple confirmation that you'll be available if needed. Overtime means extra credits, which is always welcome, And major system checks are actually interesting work. Comprehensive diagnostics and maintenance that let you really understand how the climate systems are performing rather than just responding to immediate problems. Kate emits a curious whistle, and you show her the message. She processes it with a brief series of beeps that you interpret as acknowledgement. She's been with you long enough to understand your work schedule and to anticipate when busy periods are coming. Sometimes you think she knows your job better than you do, given how meticulously she tracks your maintenance logs and service schedules. The morning is drifting toward midday, and your stomach reminds you that breakfast was several hours ago. The food vendors on level 2840 are calling, offering the prospect of something more interesting than ration bars. You stand, Kate rolling to attention beside you, and head back toward the lift station. The mid-levels of Coruscant are vast, thousands of levels, millions of corridors, billions of residents, all living in proximity that would seem impossible in any other context. But somehow it works. Somehow the systems keep functioning. The people keep navigating the complexity, and life continues with remarkable normalcy despite the extraordinary density and scale. You're just one person in that vast machinery, and today that feels exactly right. Not insignificant, but appropriately scaled, a small part of something much larger than yourself. The lift back to level 2840 is crowded with midday traffic, workers heading to lunch breaks, shoppers moving between commercial levels, maintenance crews transporting equipment. You and Kate find space near the back of the car, pressed close to other passengers in the comfortable anonymity that public transportation requires. Nobody speaks. Everyone is focused on their destination, on their own thoughts, on the small screens they carry that connect them to whatever matters at this moment. The doors open at 2840 and the crowd disperses into the corridor with practiced efficiency, people moving in different directions, finding their desired paths through the complex network of passages that connect the level's various sections. You and Kate turn left out of the lift station, heading toward the food vendor corridor that serves this commercial level. Food vendor corridors are a staple of mid-level life. They occupy dedicated spaces near major transit hubs and commercial centres, offering prepared food from dozens of small operators who specialise in specific cuisines or meal types. The vendors occupy small stalls, maybe 3 meters wide and 4 meters deep, equipped with basic cooking equipment and storage. The rent is affordable enough that enterprising cooks can start businesses without major capital investment, and the location provides steady customer traffic from workers and shoppers who need quick meals. The smells hit you before you can see the vendors: spices and cooking meat, baking bread and frying vegetables, sweet desserts and savoury soups, all mixing together in a complex aromatic tapestry that makes your stomach respond with immediate interest. You've eaten food from this corridor dozens of times, and you've developed favourites among the many vendors, though you try to vary your patronage to keep things interesting. The corridor is narrow, maybe 5 meters wide, with vendor stalls on both sides. The centre is filled with standing tables where customers can eat their meals, simple metal platforms at comfortable height, no chairs because space is at a premium. The lighting is warm and slightly orange, designed to make food look appealing and to create a welcoming atmosphere. The floor shows the wear of heavy foot traffic, scuff marks, stains that no amount of cleaning can fully remove, patches where the metal grating has been repaired or replaced. Kate emits a curious warble as she scans the vendor stalls, her sensors probably analysing the various food options even though she doesn't eat. You appreciate her participation in the experience. She may be a droid, but she's learned to engage with human activities in ways that make her feel like a genuine companion rather than just a tool. The first stall specialises in noodle dishes from Naboo, or at least claims to, though the proprietor is a human who probably hasn't been to Naboo in decades if ever. The authenticity doesn't matter much. The food is good and affordable, which is what counts. The vendor, a middle-aged woman with her hair pulled back in a practical style, is busy serving a customer, ladling noodles into a disposable container with practiced efficiency. You move on, browsing the offerings. A Rhodian operates a stall selling grilled meat on sticks, some kind of synthesized protein that approximates real meat closely enough to satisfy most palates. The sign advertises traditional Corellian-style BBQ, which is probably marketing rather than genuine tradition, but the smoke rising from the grill smells excellent. Next to him, a Twi'lek family runs a stall offering what they call home-style Ryloth cooking, baked goods and small savoury pastries that a line of 4 customers suggests are popular. You continue past vendors selling soup in various styles, stir-fried vegetables, rice dishes, sandwich equivalents, and fusion cooking that combines elements from multiple cultures into new creations that exist only in places like Coruscant, where dozens of species live in close proximity. The diversity is one of the genuine pleasures of mid-level life. You can eat food from dozens of worlds without ever leaving your residential level. Kate beeps softly and gestures with her dome toward a stall near the middle of the corridor. You follow her indication and see what caught her attention. A vendor you haven't tried before, operated by a Doug, who's cooking something on a flat griddle that looks and smells promising. The sign above the stall reads, Malastair Morning Food, in Basic and several other languages. Good call, Kate, you say, approaching the stall. The Doug notices your approach and waves, a complex gesture involving his arm legs, in the way that Dougs communicate, and calls out an accented Basic. First-time customer? Good timing. Just finished fresh batch. The griddle is covered with what looks like a combination of grains, vegetables, and protein, all cooked together and divided into portion-sized rectangles. The Doug explains that it's a traditional Malastair breakfast dish, though eaten at any time of day, made from grain native to his homeworld and supplemented with whatever vegetables and protein are available. The smell is complex, earthy grains, savoury seasoning, something slightly sweet that might be from the vegetables. How spicy, you ask, a necessary question when trying new food from unfamiliar cuisines. Mild version or traditional version? Traditional has kick, mild is gentle. The Dougs manipulate an arm's gesture at 2 different sections of the griddle. Mild for today, you decide. Adventures in spicy food are better attempted when you don't have afternoon errands to run. The Doug scoops a generous portion into a disposable container, the standard type used by vendors throughout the mid-levels, made from biodegradable material that will break down in the city's waste reclamation systems. He adds a small portion of sauce from a squeeze bottle, then tops it with what looks like fresh herbs, probably grown in one of the agricultural levels. The whole assembly takes maybe 30 seconds, practiced efficiency born of serving hundreds of customers per day. 8 credits, the Doug announces, and you touch your cred chip to his payment reader. The transaction completes, and he hands over the container along with a disposable utensil. Enjoy. You come back. I'll give you traditional spicy next time. Yes? Deal, you agree, taking your meal. You find space at one of the standing tables near the end of the corridor, Kate parking herself beside you in a way that suggests she's standing guard over your meal, a completely unnecessary but endearing behaviour. The container is warm in your hands, and steam rises from the food when you open it, carrying more of those complex aromas. The first bite is surprisingly good. The grain is nutty and substantial, providing a hearty base. The vegetables are cooked but still retain some texture, not mushy but tender. The protein is harder to identify, probably synthesized like most meat in the mid-levels, but seasoned in a way that makes it taste distinctly different from standard ration proteins. The sauce adds a tangy element that brings everything together, and the herbs provide freshness that contrasts nicely with the hearty grain base. You eat slowly, savouring the food and watching the vendor corridor's activity. A steady stream of customers moves through, some obviously regulars who know exactly what they want, others browsing and debating like you did. The vendors call out to passers-by in multiple languages, advertising their specialties, occasionally bantering with each other in the complicated social dynamics that develop between people who work in close proximity for years. Two Rhodian teenagers lean against a wall nearby, sharing a container of noodles and engaged in animated conversation that's too quiet to overhear. An older human couple sits at the table next to yours, eating in comfortable silence that suggests long familiarity with each other's company. A Bothan in maintenance coveralls gulps down soup while checking his datapad repeatedly. Someone eating lunch during a work break, trying to maximize limited time. Kate emits a soft sound that you've learned to recognize as her equivalent of contentment. She's not eating, obviously, but she seems to enjoy the experience of being present while you eat, observing the social dynamics and the flow of activity. Sometimes you wonder what her internal experience is like, whether she has something that approximates preference or enjoyment, or whether her responses are just sophisticated programming that mimics those feelings. After 3 years together, you've decided it doesn't matter. Her companionship feels real whether it technically is or not. The meal is filling and satisfying in a way that ration bars never are. There's something about freshly prepared food, even simple food from a vendor stall, that ration bars can't replicate despite their nutritional completeness. The experience of eating is about more than nutrients. It's about taste and texture and temperature, about the social environment and the small pleasure of choosing what to eat rather than consuming what's most convenient. You finish the meal and dispose of the container in the appropriate recycling receptacle, organic waste separated from other materials for processing in the city's waste management systems. The mid-levels run on sophisticated recycling infrastructure. Everything is reused, reprocessed, transformed into something else. Nothing is truly wasted because waste represents inefficiency, and Coruscant's massive population requires maximum efficiency to sustain. Your datapad shows at 1223 hours. The afternoon stretches ahead, still uncommitted except for the promise to check Mira's climate control system. You could head home, do some cleaning, maybe service Kate's joints like you planned, or you could continue exploring. Take advantage of the rare day off to see parts of your level that you don't usually visit. The choice is yours, and the freedom of that choice feels luxurious. What do you think, Kate? Head home or keep wandering for a bit? Kate's response is a questioning whistle. She's leaving the decision to you, but she's ready for either option. You consider briefly, then decide that days off are for wandering. Home will still be there later, and the cleaning can wait. For now, the mid-levels are yours to explore. You set off down a corridor you don't usually travel, Kate rolling beside you, both of you just 2 more figures in the endless stream of beings navigating Coruscant's vast urban landscape. The day continues at its own peaceful pace, unhurried and undemanding, exactly as it should be. 3 corridors away from the food vendor area, following signs that you've passed dozens of times, but never actually pursued, you find what the signage calls a public observation space. The mid-levels don't have many true windows. Exterior views are luxury amenities reserved for the upper levels, where wealthy residents pay premium prices for apartments with views of the sky. But some architectural features include small observation decks, spaces with transparent sections looking out into the traffic lanes that flow between buildings, offering at least a glimpse of the world beyond interior corridors. The observation deck on level 2840 is modest, maybe 10 meters long and 3 meters deep, with floor-to-ceiling transparasteel along one wall. A dozen people occupy the space when you arrive, some sitting on the simple benches provided, others standing close to the windows, all of them taking a break from the endless interior corridors to look at something other than grey walls. You approach the transparasteel and look out. The view shows the traffic lane that runs between your residential building and the structure opposite, a canyon of space maybe 40 meters wide, with vehicles flowing in both directions in defined lanes. The traffic is constant, air taxis carrying passengers between levels, delivery vehicles transporting goods, maintenance craft moving between buildings, personal speeders owned by residents wealthy enough to afford them. The vehicles move in organised patterns, following traffic control protocols that prevent collisions and maintain flow despite the density. The building across the lane is similar to yours, residential and commercial levels stacked vertically, thousands of windows showing glimpses into other lives. You can see into apartments directly across. Someone watching a holovid, another person apparently exercising, a family gathered around a table. The distance makes details unclear, but the general shapes and activities are visible enough to remind you that every window represents someone's life, their own small space carved out of the vast city. Kate rolls up beside you, her optical sensor focusing on the traffic flow. She emits a series of analytical beeps, probably logging traffic patterns or density metrics, the kind of data that droids collect automatically without conscious decision. You smile at her thoroughness. Even during leisure time, she's gathering information, maintaining her understanding of the environment. The sky's visible if you look up, or rather, the next level's underside is visible, a ceiling of metal and composite materials that blocks any view of actual sky. You're on level 2840. The sky is maybe 300 levels above you, blocked by the accumulated vertical city that defines Coruscant. Sometimes you try to imagine what it would be like to see actual sky, to have no ceiling except atmosphere, but the concept is abstract. You've lived on Coruscant for 7 years, and the sky has always been a ceiling of infrastructure. You used to go up to the surface sometimes, a voice says beside you. You turn to see an older human man, maybe 60 or 70, with the weathered look of someone who's spent decades working outside. Back when I was younger, before my knees got bad, take a transport up to level 5000, then transfer to a vertical express. 2 hours of travel, but worth it to see actual sky. What's it like, you ask, genuinely curious. Big. That's what strikes you first. How big it is. No ceiling, just space going up forever. And the light's different. Not harsh like work lights, softer somehow. Natural, I guess. The man gazes out at the traffic, but his eyes seem to be seeing something else. Clouds sometimes, moving on their own, not like climate-controlled air. Rain that falls instead of being sprayed from misters. Sounds nice, you say, because it does even if you can't quite picture it. It is, but this is nice too. The man gestures at the observation deck, at the view of traffic and buildings. This is home. Got my apartment 4 levels up, lived here 40 years, raised kids here, sky's great for visits, but this is where life happens. The man nods to you, the acknowledgement of a conversation completed, and moves away toward the benches. You stay at the transparasteel, watching the traffic flow, thinking about skies you've never seen and cities that extend vertically for kilometres. Kate whistles softly, drawing your attention to a maintenance craft moving slowly through the traffic lane, similar to the vehicles you sometimes use for work, with external tool pods and access hatches showing its purpose. 2 technicians are visible in the cockpit, probably heading to a service call somewhere in the building complex. You watch them pass, wondering if they're from your company or one of the dozens of other maintenance organisations that keep Coruscant functioning. The city planet requires constant maintenance, climate systems, power distribution, water reclamation, waste processing, transportation networks. All of it needs regular service, repair and replacement. Your work is just a small part of that vast maintenance apparatus, but it's a necessary part. Someone has left a data pad on one of the benches, displaying what looks like a news feed. You can see the headlines from where you stand. Senate debates new immigration quotas. Lower-level crime rates show improvement. Gratitude Day traffic advisories issued. The usual mix of important and mundane, of planet-wide concerns and local issues. You don't follow news closely. It's mostly about levels and populations far removed from your daily life. But the headlines are part of the ambient awareness that comes from living in a city where public screens display information constantly. A young couple enters the observation deck, holding hands and speaking quietly, in a language you don't recognize. They find a spot at the transparastile and stand close together, looking out at the view with expressions that suggest this might be a special occasion for them. Maybe a date, maybe just a moment stolen from busy schedules. The observation deck serves many purposes: rest break for some, entertainment for others, occasional refuge from the enclosed feeling of corridor life. You check the time, 13:09 hours. You've been wandering for over an hour since leaving the food vendors, taking the long route through your level, seeing familiar places from different angles. The afternoon is still young, but you're starting to feel the gentle pull of home. Not urgent, but present. And you did promise Mira you'd check her climate control, which means heading back to your residential building relatively soon. Probably should start heading back, Kate. Want to have time to look at Mira's regulator before the afternoon gets too late. Kate responds with an agreeable beep and rotates her dome toward the exit. You take one more look at the traffic flowing through the canyon between buildings, at the glimpse of mid-level life, visible through distant windows, at the evidence that millions of beings are all navigating their days simultaneously, all finding their own small moments of peace or productivity or connection. The observation deck is a small thing, just a room with a window really, but it serves a purpose that goes beyond its simple function. It provides perspective, a reminder that the corridors and apartments and commercial spaces are part of something larger, that the city extends in all directions, that you're a participant in an almost impossibly complex system that somehow continues to function day after day, year after year. You and Kate leave the observation deck and head toward the lift station that will take you back to level 2847. The mid-levels wrap around you once again, corridors and crowds, artificial light and recycled air, the constant low hum of systems and activity. But now you've had your moment of external perspective, your brief glimpse of the larger context, and you return to the interior spaces with renewed appreciation for how they work, for how they provide structure and function for billions of lives. The lift back to level 2847 is less crowded than morning traffic. You share the car with only 5 other people, leaving enough space that everyone can stand comfortably without pressing against each other. The afternoon lull between lunch and evening, when many people are at work and the residential levels are quieter than early morning or late evening. Kate occupies her usual spot beside you, her presence as familiar as your own shadow. The lift rises smoothly, making 2 stops before reaching your level. At 2843, a Twi'lek family enters, parents and 3 children, the kids animated and energetic in the way that children universally are, regardless of species. One of the children, can't be more than 5 or 6 years old, notices Kate and emits an excited squeal, pointing at the droid with obvious delight. The mother gently redirects the child's attention, apologizing with her eyes in the way parents do when their children show excessive interest in strangers. It's fine, you assure her. Kate's friendly. Kate, understanding that she's been given permission to interact, emits a cheerful series of beeps and rotates her dome in a way that children always find entertaining. The kid giggles and even the other children pay attention now, momentarily distracted from whatever they were discussing. The brief interaction lightens the lift's atmosphere. Other passengers smile, the social tension of shared space easing slightly. The family exits at 2845, the children waving at Kate as they leave, Kate whistling goodbye in response. The doors close and the lift continues upward. The remaining passengers, 2 humans and a Rhodian, return to their previous states of polite inattention, the moment of connection fading as quickly as it appeared. Level 2847 arrives, and you and Kate exit into the familiar corridor of your residential building. The lighting seems slightly dimmer than the commercial levels you've been visiting, or perhaps your eyes have adjusted to the brighter illumination and now need to readjust. The sounds are different too, quieter, more domestic. Instead of the bustle of shoppers and vendors, You hear the ambient noise of residential life, muffled conversations through walls, someone's music playing at low volume, the hum of climate systems, the occasional footsteps of neighbours moving through the corridors. Your apartment is 3 corridors away, but you head in the opposite direction, toward Mira's unit. She lives across the hall, and 2 doors down, number 2847C Sol 407, compared to your 402. You've been neighbours for 3 years, which makes her one of the more stable presences in a building where many residents move frequently, either finding better opportunities on other levels or being priced out when rent increases exceed their income growth. You press the door chime, and Mira's voice comes through the speaker. Who is it? It's me, here to look at your climate control. The door slides open, revealing Mira in casual home clothing. A simple shift dress in blue, comfortable and practical for a day off. Her leku, the headtails that are characteristic of Twi'leks, are decorated with small ornamental bands that suggest she's been doing something special today, or perhaps she just likes wearing them at home. Her apartment is similar to yours in size but arranged differently, with her sleeping platform along a different wall and more personal decorations, giving the space a distinct character. Thank you so much for doing this, Mira says, stepping aside to let you and Kate enter. It's been driving me crazy, freezing in the morning, too warm by afternoon. I can't figure out a setting that works consistently. No problem. Let me take a look at the regulator panel. You move to the climate control panel near her door, identical to yours in placement and design, standard installation for all units in the building. Kate rolls over beside you, extending a diagnostic probe from one of her tool compartments. The panel shows current settings and conditions: target temperature 20 degrees Celsius, actual temperature 22 degrees, airflow at medium setting. The readings look normal at first glance, but you've learned that climate issues often hide in the patterns rather than the absolute numbers. When did this start, you ask, while Kate interfaces with the panel's diagnostic port. About a week ago, gradual at first, then more noticeable over the past few days. Kate beeps and displays data on her small screen. Pressure fluctuations in the regulator manifold, exactly as Hendrik predicted when you were at his shop earlier. The seals are degrading, allowing pressure variations that affect temperature control. It's a common issue in buildings this age, and normally building maintenance would handle it, but response times from official maintenance can be weeks for non-emergency issues. It's the seals in your regulator manifold, you explain, opening your shoulder bag to retrieve the spare seal you bought at Hendrik's. Pretty common problem. I can fix it in about 20 minutes, if you don't mind me pulling apart your climate panel. Please do. I trust you way more than I trust the building maintenance team, Mira says. Want something to drink while you work? I've got actual fruit juice, not synthetic, actual fruit juice from agricultural levels. Got it from a vendor near my work. That sounds great, actually. While Mira heads to her small food prep station, you begin the repair work. The climate control panel's cover removes with a standard tool from your kit. 4 screws in the corners, then the whole front plate lifts away to reveal the mechanical systems behind. The regulator manifold is immediately visible, a cluster of valves and pipes that control air pressure and flow, all wrapped in thermal insulation to maintain efficiency. Kate extends her work light, illuminating the tight space inside the panel. You can see the degraded seal immediately. The rubber has hardened and cracked, creating gaps where air pressure can escape. It's not a major failure yet, but it's enough to cause the temperature fluctuations Mira has been experiencing. Left alone, it would eventually fail completely, requiring more extensive repair. Mira returns with 2 cups of juice, red liquid that looks like it might be from berries or some fruit equivalent. The taste is sweet with a slight tartness, definitely real fruit rather than synthetic flavouring. The luxury of it isn't lost on you. Actual fruit juice costs maybe 3 times what synthetic versions do, making it a special occasion drink rather than daily staple. This is really good, I say. Diaz, you say appreciatively. Vendor near my work gets shipments from the agricultural levels twice a week. I try to stop by when I can afford it. Mira settles onto her sleeping platform, watching you work. How's your job going? Still doing climate control? Yeah, same job. Got a major system check scheduled after Gratitude Day. Might be some overtime involved. You're working while talking, fingers familiar with the task of removing the old seal and preparing the manifold for the new one. Overtime is good, right? Extra credits are always good. I'm trying to save up for a better air purifier. The one I have works fine, but there are newer models that filter more particulates. You fit the new seal into place, checking that it seats properly in its groove. The seal is slightly thicker than the original, part of the improved design Hendrik mentioned, which should make it last longer. Kate beeps and extends a Torque wrench, the correct tool for the securing bolts, without you needing to ask. 3 years of working together has created this kind of intuitive cooperation. She anticipates needs based on patterns she's learned from previous repairs. How's your work going, you ask, tightening the bolts to proper specification. Still doing data processing? Still processing data, yes. Got a promotion last month, not much of one, but it came with a small credit increase and slightly better hours. I'm hoping to transfer to day shift eventually. Night processing is steady work, but it messes with your sleep schedule. The conversation continues while you work, casual updates on jobs and lives, the kind of neighbourly chat that helps build community in densely populated buildings. Mira talks about her plans for Gratitude Day, visiting family on a higher level, her frustration with the building's slow maintenance response times, her interest in maybe taking some technical courses to expand her career options. You share your plans, working a half shift, then staying home, your satisfaction with your current job, your general contentment with mid-level life. The repair takes exactly the 20 minutes you estimated. The new seal is installed, the manifold is reassembled, and you test the system by running the climate control through a full cycle while monitoring pressure readings. Kate's diagnostic screen shows stable pressure, no fluctuations, exactly what should happen with a properly functioning seal. The temperature should stabilise now, maintaining consistency throughout the day. All fixed, you announce, replacing the panel cover and securing it. Should be back to normal operation. If you have any more issues, let me know. You're a lifesaver. What do I owe you? Mira is already reaching for her cred chip, but you wave her off. Nothing. It's just a neighbour thing. You helped me figure out that housing authority form last month when I needed to renew my lease. This is payback. At least let me feed you dinner sometime. I make a decent Ryloth-style stew when I have time to cook. That's a deal I'll accept, you agree. You gather your tools and prepare to leave. Kate performs a final diagnostic scan. Thoroughness is built into her programming and confirms that all systems are operating within normal parameters. Mira walks you to the door, genuine gratitude in her expression. These small exchanges of service and assistance are the social glue that holds mid-level communities together. Official systems are impersonal and slow, but neighbours helping neighbours creates a support network that makes life more manageable. Back in the corridor, heading toward your own apartment, you feel the satisfaction of useful work completed. It's different from your regular job. No work order, no official record, no compensation beyond goodwill, but it's still technical work done competently. Still a problem solved through skill and knowledge. The pride you take in your work exists independent of whether you're being paid for it. Your apartment, door slides open, recognizing your ID automatically, and you step into the familiar space. It looks exactly as you left it this morning. The sleeping platform with its rumpled blanket, the small table with its scattered data pads, the climate control panel glowing its steady blue. Home, modest and comfortable, perfectly suited to your needs. Kate rolls to her charging station in the corner and plugs herself in. Not because her battery is critically low, but because maintaining charge is good practice. You set your shoulder bag on the table and begin unpacking the items from your supply depot trip, putting everything in its designated place. The ration bars go on the shelf above the food prep station. The cleaning supplies go under the sink. The new light panel gets set aside for installation later. The afternoon is advancing toward evening. Your datapad shows 134 hours, plenty of time before you need to think about dinner or evening routines. You consider your options: clean the apartment, install the new light panel, do maintenance on Kate's joints like you'd planned, or just relax for a while and let the day continue its gentle pace without pushing toward productivity. You choose relaxation. Days off are rare enough that maximizing efficiency seems like missing the point. You pour another cup of water from the dispenser, settle onto your sleeping platform with a datapad, and pull up something mindless to read: entertainment news from across the galaxy, the kind of trivial information that requires no mental effort to process. Kate, charged enough for now, unplugs and rolls over to her corner, where she performs some kind of internal diagnostic routine that involves quiet beeping and occasional servo movements. She's content in whatever way droids experience contentment, and you're content watching her be content while you read about celebrity gossip from worlds you'll probably never visit. The city hums around you: ventilation, distant voices, the omnipresent background noise of mid-level life. But in your apartment, there's peace. The day has been satisfying without being demanding, productive without being stressful, social without being overwhelming. This is what rest looks like. Not the absence of activity, but the presence of choice about how to spend your time. The afternoon settles into comfortable stillness, and you let it carry you forward at its own pace. After maybe 30 minutes of relaxation, enough time to finish the celebrity gossip and feel slightly guilty about consuming such trivial content, you decide to tackle the maintenance tasks you'd been planning. Days off should include both rest and productivity, and servicing Kate's joints is overdue enough that delaying further feels irresponsible. "Ready for your maintenance, Kate?" you ask, setting aside the datapad. Kate responds with an enthusiastic beep that suggests, yes, she's very ready. Droids don't experience pain from worn joints, but they are aware of reduced efficiency, and Kate has probably been noticing that some of her movements aren't as smooth as they should be. The maintenance will improve her performance, and there's something almost like anticipation in her response. You clear space on your small table, pushing aside datapads and the empty juice cup from earlier. The toolkit from your shoulder bag contains everything you need for basic droid maintenance: lubricant, purchased this morning from the supply depot, cleaning cloths, small precision tools for accessing joints and panels, and diagnostic equipment that Kate herself provides through her built-in systems. Okay, let's start with your primary manipulator arm. Extend it fully and lock it in position. Kate complies, extending her main grasping arm and engaging the lock that holds it steady for maintenance work. The arm is surprisingly complex, multiple joints, each one allowing specific ranges of movement, all working together to provide the dexterity that makes R4 units useful for technical work. You begin with the shoulder joint, carefully opening the small access panel that protects the internal mechanisms. The joint shows normal wear, no damage, just a gradual degradation that comes from thousands of movements over months of operation. The lubricant has darkened slightly, picking up microscopic metal particles from the moving parts, and the amount has decreased through gradual loss that's inevitable in mechanical systems. You clean the old lubricant carefully with a cloth, removing as much as possible without disassembling the entire joint. Kate's optical sensor follows your work, tracking each movement. You've done this maintenance dozens of times over the 3 years you've had her, and she knows the routine as well as you do. There's something meditative about the work, precise, methodical, focused on small details that matter more than they appear to. Each joint properly maintained contributes to Kate's overall functionality, and her overall functionality contributes to your work efficiency and daily life quality. The new lubricant goes in carefully, measured amounts applied to specific points, where metal surfaces move against each other. Too little lubricant means increased wear. Too much means it attracts dust and creates its own problems. You've learned the right amount through practice, and your application is confident and efficient. The lubricant is slightly blue, a characteristic of the multi-purpose formula from the supply depot, and it looks clean and fresh compared to the darkened old lubricant you removed. How does that feel, you ask, though the question is somewhat rhetorical. Kate will run her own diagnostics and report problems, if any exist. Kate rotates the arm through its full range of motion, the movement noticeably smoother than before maintenance. Her satisfied beep confirms what you can see. The joint is operating properly, friction reduced, efficiency restored. You continue through Kate's other joints, the secondary manipulators, the dome rotation mechanism, the wheel assemblies, each one receiving the same careful attention. The work is precise but not difficult, and you fall into the rhythm of it. Clean old lubricant, inspect for damage, apply new lubricant. Test movement, secure access panel, move to next joint. Your hands know what to do almost without conscious thought. Muscle memory from years of technical work. Kate emits soft processing sounds throughout the maintenance, her systems monitoring the changes and updating her internal models of joint performance. Modern droids are sophisticated enough to perform some self-diagnosis and even limited self-repair, but they still require regular maintenance from organic technicians. The relationship between droid and maintainer becomes almost collaborative. Kate knows what she needs, and you know how to provide it. The dome rotation mechanism is particularly satisfying to service. This is Kate's most expressive feature. Her ability to rotate her head allows her to direct attention and communicate interest in ways that wouldn't be possible with a fixed sensor. The mechanism is more complex than simple arm joints, involving not just rotation, but also the electronic connections that allow her sensors to function regardless of dome position. You open the access panel at the base of the dome, revealing the ring of contacts and the bearing surface that allows rotation. The bearing is slightly worn, visible as faint scratches in the metal surface, but not enough to warrant replacement yet. Maybe another year of normal use before it will need to be changed. You clean the surface carefully, remove old lubricant, and apply fresh material to the bearing surface. Rotate slowly through a full circle, you instruct. Kate complies, her dome turning with smooth precision. The movement is silent now, the slight grinding sound that had been developing eliminated by proper lubrication. She completes the rotation and emits a pleased warble that makes you smile. You're anthropomorphizing her responses probably, projecting human emotions onto droid behavior. But after 3 years, the distinction doesn't seem important. Whether she's actually pleased or just responding to improved efficiency, the result is a droid that functions better and seems happier. The wheel assemblies are last, and they're always the dirtiest part of maintenance. Wheels pick up dust, debris, and grime from floors throughout the day, and all of it accumulates in the wheel wells and axle bearings. You have to practically disassemble each wheel assembly to clean properly, removing accumulated crud that would eventually impair mobility. Kate extends each wheel in turn, locking her suspension to give you access. The cleaning is tedious, scraping out packed debris, wiping down surfaces, ensuring that every part is clean before applying fresh lubricant. Your hands get dirty despite the cleaning cloths, picking up the grime that Kate has been rolling through for months. But the work is necessary. Mobility is Kate's primary function, and degraded wheels would compromise everything else she does. With all 4 wheels cleaned and lubricated, you step back to assess the work. Kate runs through a comprehensive diagnostic sequence, her systems checking every joint and movement for proper function. The results display on her small screen. All systems operating within optimal parameters, efficiency improved by 7% compared to pre-maintenance status. Estimated time until next required maintenance extended to 4 months. "Looking good, Kate. You should be running smooth for a while now." Kate's response is a complex series of beeps that you've learned to interpret as thanks. She rolls in a small circle, testing her newly maintained wheels, then rotates her dome through a full range of motion. The movements are precise and fluid, the kind of performance that's only possible with properly maintained mechanical systems. You clean your tools and pack them away, disposing of the used lubricant and cleaning cloths in the appropriate recycling receptacles. Your hands are slightly greasy despite the cloths, so you wash them thoroughly at the small sink, watching the water carry away the evidence of mechanical work. The sonic shower this morning cleaned your body, but there's something satisfying about washing your hands under actual water, seeing the dirt and grease disappear down the drain. The maintenance work has taken maybe 90 minutes, and the afternoon is transitioning toward evening. The light from your viewport is changing, not from solar movement, since artificial lighting controls day and night in the mid-levels, but from the scheduled dimming that mimics evening conditions. The building's lighting systems gradually reduce intensity starting around 1700 hours, creating a sense of evening even though the actual illumination comes from fixtures rather than a setting sun. You check your data pad. 18 hours. The day has passed in comfortable increments of activity and rest, productivity and relaxation, exactly as a day off should. No major accomplishments, no dramatic events, just the steady rhythm of maintaining your life and your equipment while enjoying the luxury of unscheduled time. Your stomach reminds you that lunch was hours ago and dinner will need addressing soon. You consider your options. Ration bars, always available but boring. Food vendors, good but requires going back out, or cooking something from your limited supplies. You have some instant soup packets in your storage. Not exciting, but warm and satisfying, requiring only hot water and a few minutes of preparation. You decide on soup. The evening is for staying in, for quiet domestic activities, for transitioning from the day's moderate activity toward the restful evening that will lead to sleep. Soup fits that mood, simple, comforting, requiring minimal effort. The soup preparation is straightforward. Tear open packet, pour contents into cup, add hot water from the dispenser, stir, wait 3 minutes for proper reconstitution. The packet claims the flavour is vegetable medley, which is optimistic marketing for what tastes like vaguely vegetable-flavoured salt, but the warmth and substance are what matter more than culinary excellence. While the soup sits developing its flavour, such as it is, you install the new light panel you bought at the supply depot. The old panel has been flickering for weeks, not badly enough to be urgent, but annoying enough to warrant replacement when you had a chance to buy a new one. The installation is simple. Remove old panel by twisting it out of its socket. Insert new panel, twist to secure. The whole process takes maybe 2 minutes, and suddenly your apartment is noticeably brighter. The old panel's degraded output, now obvious in comparison to the new panel's full illumination. Small improvements like this accumulate into meaningful quality of life increases. Individually, the difference between a flickering light panel and a new one is minor, but combined with proper climate control, clean air from your purifier, well-maintained equipment and orderly storage, these small improvements create an environment that feels more comfortable and manageable than it would otherwise. You settle at your table with the soup, which has reached the right consistency, thick enough to be substantial, liquid enough to drink easily. Kate parks herself nearby, her newly maintained joints allowing movements that are noticeably smoother than this morning. She seems content, or whatever the droid equivalent is, and you're content watching her, sharing space with a companion who doesn't require conversation, but whose presence prevents loneliness. The soup is warm and filling, if not particularly flavourful. You eat slowly, in no rush, watching the apartment's viewport as evening foot traffic moves through the corridor outside. Your home is small and simple, but it's yours, a space carved out of the vast city planet, maintained through your labour, shaped by your choices about what to keep and how to arrange it. There's satisfaction in that ownership, in the responsibility and autonomy it represents. The day is winding down naturally, moving toward evening routines and the eventual transition to sleep. But there are still a few hours before bed, time to fill as you choose, and the evening stretches ahead with the same comfortable emptiness that has characterized the entire day off. After dinner, such as it was, you spend time organizing your apartment in the way that only happens on days off, when you have mental energy for small tasks that aren't urgent but that make life slightly better when completed. The organization is minimal, putting away items that have accumulated on surfaces, straightening your sleeping platform's blanket, wiping down the table and food prep surfaces, but the cumulative effect is noticeable. The apartment doesn't look dramatically different, but it feels more ordered, more intentional. Kate assists with small tasks that her manipulators can handle, collecting items that need to be stored, holding things steady while you secure them, providing light when you're working in corners where the fixed illumination doesn't quite reach. She's not designed for domestic work. Her primary function is technical assistance, but she's adapted to household tasks with the flexibility that characterizes well-programmed droids. You find yourself at the viewport, looking out at the building across the way. The windows show more life now than during daytime hours. People returning from work shifts, families gathering for evening meals, the transition from daytime to evening routines creating patterns of light and activity. In one window, directly across, you can see what looks like a gratitude day preparation. Multiple people gathered around a table, possibly wrapping packages or preparing decorations. The holiday is 3 days away, and many residents are using their off hours to prepare. Gratitude Day is one of the few galaxy-wide holidays that most cultures observe, though the specific traditions vary enormously. The core concept, taking time to appreciate what you have and to acknowledge the people and circumstances that support your life, transcends species and homeworld. On Coruscant, the holiday manifests as a day off for many workers, though never all workers. City services must continue, increased social gatherings, and a general atmosphere of reflection and community connection. You haven't done much to prepare for Gratitude Day yourself. No decorations, no special meal plans, no gatherings to attend or host. Part of that is practical. Your apartment is too small for hosting, and you don't have close enough relationships with co-workers to merit social invitations. But part of it is temperament. You've never been someone who embraces holidays enthusiastically. You appreciate them as breaks from routine, but you don't need the elaborate celebrations that some people thrive on. Still, there's something appealing about the concept of gratitude, about taking time to consciously acknowledge what works in your life, rather than focusing on what's lacking. You have steady work that pays enough to afford this apartment, and occasional luxuries like real fruit juice. You have Kate, who makes both work and daily life easier and more pleasant. You have neighbours like Mira, who create informal support networks that substitute for more formal community structures. You have skills that are valuable, a body that's healthy enough to do your work, a mind that processes information and solves problems with reasonable efficiency. These aren't dramatic blessings. No wealth, no fame, no exceptional circumstances, but they're real and meaningful. This is the core of mid-level Coruscant life. Modest comfort earned through steady work, small pleasures appreciated because they're not guaranteed, and the satisfaction of maintaining stability in an environment that could easily become overwhelming. Your datapad chimes softly, a message from your supervisor, following up on the earlier note about potential overtime. Just confirming. System check starts 0700 2 days after Gratitude Day. Planning on 12 to 14 hour day, maybe 2 days, depending on what we find. "You still available?" You reply affirmatively. The overtime will mean extra credits, which you can always use. And honestly, you enjoy the comprehensive system checks more than routine maintenance calls. There's something satisfying about methodically testing every component of a climate system, confirming that everything works properly, catching small problems before they become major failures. It's the difference between reactive work, fixing things that break, and proactive work, preventing breakage through careful maintenance. Kate rolls over beside you at the viewport, her optical sensor directed outward at the view. Sometimes, you wonder what she sees when she looks at scenes like this. Her sensors are more sophisticated than human eyes in some ways, better at measuring distances, detecting specific wavelengths, identifying patterns, but presumably worse at aesthetic appreciation and emotional response. Does she see the windows across the way as data points to be catalogued? Or does her programming include something like appreciation for the patterns of light and activity? What do you think, Kate? Good day? Kate's responding beep is cheerful and affirmative. Whether she's actually evaluating the day or just responding to your tone, the result is the same. Confirmation that the day has been satisfactory, that the time off has served its purpose. The evening is settling into the quiet phase that characterizes late hours on residential levels. The corridor outside your door is mostly silent now. Occasionally, footsteps pass by. Occasionally, a door opens and closes, but the steady traffic of daytime has subsided. The ventilation system hum becomes more noticeable in the relative quiet, a background sound so constant that you usually don't consciously hear it, but which fills the silence when other sounds fade. You pull up your personal logs on your data pad, reviewing the day's activities with the same systematic approach you apply to work logs. The log is simple. Day off, level 2847 residential. 0847, woke up later than usual, good rest. 0930 to 1100, errands, supply depot, Hendrix Hardware. 1100 1230, exploration, food vendors, observation deck. 1400 1534, neighbour assistance, mirrors climate control repair. 1600 1730, droid maintenance, Kate's joints and wheels. 1730 1900, domestic tasks, light panel replacement, apartment organisation. 1900 present, evening quiet. The log makes the day look more structured than it felt while living through it, but the structure was there, just loose enough to feel relaxed, organised, enough to feel productive. This is the balance you've learned to strike on days off. Enough activity to justify the time, enough rest to actually recover from work. You consider what tomorrow will bring. Back to work, a standard 12-hour shift servicing climate systems in the commercial district 3 levels down. The thought doesn't fill you with dread. You like your work well enough, and you're good at it, but there's a mild reluctance to return to the structured schedule after a day of choosing your own activities. That reluctance is normal, probably healthy. It confirms that the day off served its purpose of providing genuine rest. The chrono on your wall shows 1947 hours. Bedtime isn't for a few more hours, but the evening is transitioning toward night, and your energy is naturally winding down. You're not tired exactly, more like gradually settling toward the end of day stillness that precedes sleep by several hours. You dim your apartment lights to evening level, reducing the illumination by about 30%. The change creates a more relaxed atmosphere, signaling to your body that active daytime hours are ending and quieter evening time has arrived. This is another small element of mid-level life management, using environmental cues to shape your physical and mental state, working with your body's natural rhythms. Even when the external environment provides no natural day-night cycle, Kate returns to her charging station, not because she needs the charge, but because evening is her usual charging time. And routines matter even for droids. She plugs in and enters what you think of as her sleep mode. Not actual sleep, but a reduced activity state where she processes data and performs maintenance on her internal systems. Her optical sensor dims and her occasional beeps become less frequent. She's still aware of the environment and would alert you to any problems, but she's conserving energy and focusing on internal processes. You settle onto your sleeping platform with a data pad, pulling up something more substantial to read than celebrity gossip, a technical manual about new climate control systems that your company might be installing in the future. It's not exactly entertainment, but it's interesting enough to hold attention while being boring enough to help transition towards sleep. The perfect evening reading material. Informative without being demanding. Engaging without being exciting. The manual describes innovations in air filtration and temperature regulation, improvements in energy efficiency and component longevity. You read about new sensor technologies that can detect problems earlier, about improved materials that resist degradation better than current standards, about software updates that optimize system performance automatically. It's the kind of incremental progress that characterizes modern technology, not revolutionary breakthroughs, just steady improvements that accumulate into meaningful advancement. The evening continues its quiet progression. The city around you doesn't sleep. There is no night on Coruscant in the traditional sense, just a dimming of lights and a shift in which populations are active. But your small corner of it settles into rest. The day off is almost complete, having fulfilled its purpose of providing relief from work routines and space for personal maintenance and choice. Tomorrow will bring structure and schedule again. But tonight belongs to the peaceful transition from waking to sleep, from activity to rest, from the day's small accomplishments to the night's restoration. And that feels exactly right. Not exciting, not dramatic, just the gentle rhythm of ordinary life well lived. At 247 hours, your body begins sending the subtle signals that suggest bedtime is approaching. Slightly heavier eyelids, a gentle slowing of thoughts, the beginning of that pleasant heaviness in limbs that precedes sleep. You've learned to pay attention to these signals rather than adhering rigidly to arbitrary bedtimes. Your body knows when it needs rest, and cooperating with those natural rhythms makes sleep easier and more restorative. You set aside the technical manual. You've absorbed about as much information about climate control innovations as you can process today, and begin the pre-sleep routine that shapes most of your evenings. The routine is simple but important, creating a consistent pattern that signals to your body and mind that sleep is approaching. First, the apartment lights dim to their lowest setting, maybe 10% of full brightness, just enough to navigate safely, but not enough to stimulate alertness. The change is significant. The space transforms from bright and wakeful to soft and restful. The only bright spot is the blue glow of the climate control panel, a constant that you've learned to find comforting rather than intrusive. You check the door lock, confirming that it's engaged for the night. The lock is electronic with a mechanical backup, designed to prevent unauthorized entry while allowing emergency exit if needed. The soft beep when you test it confirms proper function, a small security detail that would be easy to skip, but that helps you sleep easier, knowing the apartment is secured. The refresher station receives attention next. A quick clean of the sink and sonic shower, wiping down surfaces that accumulated the day's normal accumulation of dust and minor debris. The cleaning is minimal. Deep cleaning happens weekly, not daily, but maintaining baseline cleanliness prevents gradual degradation into unpleasant conditions. You brush your teeth with the efficiency of someone who's performed this action thousands of times. The minty taste of tooth cleaner sharp and clean. Your work clothes for tomorrow hang on their designated hook near the door. Clean coveralls, work boots positioned below them, tool belt hung over the boots. Everything ready to be grabbed quickly in the morning, minimizing the high decision-making required when you're still waking up. This is another small efficiency that makes life easier. Morning you is never as functional as evening you, so evening you prepares things to help morning you succeed. Kate is still in her low power mode, charging cable connected, her systems processing the day's accumulated data and performing whatever internal maintenance tasks droids do when they're not actively working. You check her charge level, 87%, more than adequate for tomorrow's work, and confirm that her diagnostic systems show no concerns. She's ready for tomorrow, just as you're preparing to be ready. The sleeping platform needs minor adjustment. Straightening the blanket, fluffing the pillow, ensuring everything is positioned for comfort. The platform is simple. No fancy mattress, no elaborate bedding, but it's yours, broken in to match your body. Familiar after 4 years of sleeping in the same spot. The blanket is warm without being too heavy, the pillow is firm without being hard, and the whole assembly is oriented so you can see the climate control panel's blue glow, a visual reference point that helps you orient yourself if you wake during the night. You set your data pad on the small shelf near the sleeping platform, making sure the alarm is properly configured for tomorrow. Zorro 6:30 hours, gentle chime that will gradually increase in volume if you don't respond immediately. The alarm is necessary. Left to natural waking, you'd probably sleep later than ideal for making your work shift on time. But it's set late enough that you should wake naturally, close to that time anyway. Forced waking is unpleasant. Alarm-assisted natural waking is manageable. The apartment around you is quiet now, settled into nighttime mode. The sounds from neighbouring units are minimal. Someone's muffled conversation through the walls. Footsteps in the corridor outside, growing less frequent as people settle into their own evening routines. The building itself continues its endless operation. Climate systems maintaining temperature and air quality. Power flowing through conduits, water circulating through pipes. Waste being processed through reclamation systems. All of it invisible, all of it essential, all of it maintained by people like you who work while others sleep or sleep while others work, ensuring the city planet's infrastructure never stops functioning. You slide under the blanket and settle into your usual sleeping position. On your side, pillow supporting your head at the right angle, blanket pulled up to shoulder level. The position is specific to you, developed over years of finding what works, and your body recognizes it immediately as the configuration that precedes sleep. This is Pavlovian conditioning that you've deliberately created. Position plus environment plus routine equals sleep, and your body responds to the pattern. The day scrolls through your mind in reverse sequence. Evening routines, domestic, organization, droid maintenance, neighbor assistance, errands and exploration, morning waking, a complete cycle of day-off activity. Nothing dramatic, but everything satisfactory. You fulfilled the obligations you'd set for yourself. Mira's repair, supply shopping, Kate's maintenance. Enjoyed the freedom of unstructured time. Wandering, observation deck, new food vendor. And maintained your living space, cleaning, organization, light panel replacement. The balance between productivity and rest was good. You accomplished things without feeling driven, relaxed without feeling lazy. Tomorrow will be different. Structured work time, specific tasks, interaction with co-workers and climate systems, rather than casual exploration of your residential level. But tomorrow is hours away still, and dwelling on it would interfere with sleep. Better to let today finish completely before allowing tomorrow to begin dominating your thoughts. Your breathing is slowing naturally, the gentle rhythm of a body preparing for sleep. The apartment's climate control maintains perfect temperature. The air circulation is steady and quiet, and the ambient noise level is low enough to avoid disturbance, but not so silent that individual sounds become startling. These are optimal sleeping conditions, taken for granted most nights, but consciously appreciated tonight as you settle toward rest. Kate emits a very soft beep from her charging station. Her version of good night, a routine she's developed over 3 years of sharing space with you. You smile slightly, eyes already closed, and murmur, "Good night, Kate," in response. Whether she understands the social ritual or just responds to the sound pattern doesn't matter. The exchange is comforting either way. The city planet continues its endless operation around you. Trillions of beings living their lives. Billions of systems functioning continuously. Millions of workers maintaining the infrastructure that makes it all possible. You're one small part of that vast organism. A single cell in the body of Coruscant, performing your function and finding your small space of peace within the overwhelming whole. And in this moment, that feels exactly right. Not grand, not important in any large sense, but meaningful within its appropriate scale. Your work matters to the people who depend on functional climate control. Your presence matters to Mira, who needed help with a problem. Your companionship matters to Kate, who responds to your interactions in ways that suggest satisfaction with her role. Your life, ordinary and unremarkable as it is, creates value and meaning within its proper context. Sleep is very close now, hovering at the edge of consciousness, waiting for you to fully release your grip on waking awareness. The day off has served its purpose completely, providing rest and restoration that will carry you through the next cycle of work shifts. Tomorrow you'll return to structured time, but tonight is still yours. These last few moments of waking consciousness before sleep claims you entirely. The mid-levels of Coruscant settle around you, not silent, never silent, but quiet enough. The hum of systems, the distant murmur of other lives, the steady background noise of city-planet existence. It's the sound of home, familiar and constant, and it carries you gently towards sleep like a lullaby that plays in frequencies too low to consciously hear, but deep enough to feel in your bones. Your breathing deepens further, consciousness fragmenting into the scattered thoughts that precede true sleep. Images float past, Kate's smooth movements after maintenance, the taste of real fruit juice, the view from the observation deck, Hendrik's forearms moving independently, the warmth of soup, the satisfaction of a seal properly installed. The thoughts slow, blend, become less distinct. Waking consciousness is releasing its hold, allowing sleep to take over. The transition is gentle, natural, the result of a day well spent and a body ready for rest. The day off is complete. Tomorrow awaits, but tonight belongs to sleep and restoration, and that is exactly as it should be. Let your eyes remain closed now, letting the image of that small apartment on level 2847 stay with you. You can almost feel the familiar firmness of the sleeping platform, broken in perfectly to your shape after years of use. The blanket is exactly the right weight, regulation thermal weave, nothing fancy, but warm and comforting in its simplicity. The climate control panel glows its steady blue nearby, that constant reassuring presence that confirms everything is working exactly as it should. The air is perfectly comfortable, 20 degrees Celsius, recycled and filtered and cleaned by systems you understand intimately because maintaining them is your life's work. There's something deeply peaceful about that, going to sleep surrounded by systems you know are functioning properly, systems you've helped to maintain. Kate's charging station hums almost inaudibly from her corner, her systems processing the day's experiences and preparing for tomorrow's work. She's been with you for 3 years, long enough to feel less like equipment and more like a companion. Her presence is comforting. You're not alone in this small apartment, this small space carved out of the vast city planet. Someone is here with you, even if that someone is a droid. The sounds of level 2847 continue their gentle background presence. Somewhere down the corridor, a door opens and closes, someone returning home late from work, or perhaps heading out for a night shift. The footsteps fade, absorbed by distance and walls. The ventilation system maintains its steady hum, moving air through the building's circulatory network, keeping millions of residents breathing comfortably. Water moves through pipes somewhere in the walls, waste being processed, clean water being delivered. The endless cycle of resource management that makes high-density living possible. These sounds could be intrusive, could be reminders of how many people surround you, how little privacy exists in mid-level living, but tonight they're comforting instead. They're the sounds of systems working properly, of community functioning, of the vast city planet maintaining its steady operation. You're part of something much larger than yourself, and these sounds confirm that your small role contributes to the successful whole. Your body's heavy now with approaching sleep, muscles relaxing completely after the day's moderate activity. Your back and shoulders, slightly sore from this morning, have released their tension. Your legs, which walked several kilometers through corridors and levels today, are still and comfortable. Your hands, which performed careful maintenance work on Kate's joints and Mira's climate control, rest quietly at your sides. Everything that needed to move today has moved. Now everything can be still. The day scrolls past one more time, but slower now, less distinct. The morning's errands, the taste of that Malastar grain dish, Kate's pleased warble when her joints move smoothly after maintenance, Hendrik's friendly voice booming across his shop, the view from the observation deck, traffic flowing through the canyon between buildings, Mira's gratitude when you fixed her climate control, the warmth of soup, the satisfaction of organising your small space. But these memories are fading, becoming less important than the gentle pull of sleep. Tomorrow will bring its own experiences, its own small satisfactions and ordinary challenges. Tomorrow you'll return to work, climbing through maintenance tunnels, servicing climate regulators, keeping the systems functioning that millions depend on without thinking about. It's good work, honest work, skilled work that makes you proud even when it's routine and unglamorous. But tomorrow is still hours away. A full night of sleep separates now from then, a complete cycle of rest and restoration. Your body knows what to do. It's been sleeping since before you were born, and it will handle this unconscious state with practiced expertise. Your only job is to allow it to happen, to stop fighting the gentle pull towards sleep, to trust that morning will come when it comes, and that you'll wake when you need to wake. The apartment is darker now, or perhaps your eyes are just too heavy to register the minimal light. The blue glow of the climate control panel is there, even if you can't quite see it anymore. Kate is there in her corner, charging and content. The walls surround you, thin but adequate, separating your space from your neighbours' spaces, while keeping you all connected in the same building, the same level, the same vertical city, reaching kilometres above and below. Coruscant continues its endless operation, but you're releasing your connection to it now. Let the city function without your awareness for a while. Let the billions of other lives unfold without your participation. Let the systems maintain themselves, the traffic flow, the people move through their own routines. You've done your part today. You've maintained your small piece of the vast machinery. You've contributed your small share of competent work and neighbourly assistance. Now you can rest. Now you can let go of responsibility, of awareness, of conscious thought. Sleep is here, patient and inevitable, waiting for you to stop resisting and allow it to claim you completely. The city planet hums its endless lullaby. Ventilation and voices, systems and traffic, the sound of trillions of lives being lived simultaneously. But you're releasing your hold on all of it, drifting away from waking consciousness into the peaceful darkness where nothing is required of you, where no decisions need making, where time passes without your awareness or participation. Level 2847 remains solid around you. The mid-levels continue their existence. Coruscant spins on its axis, orbiting its sun, just another world in the vast galaxy. But you're no longer tracking any of that. You're falling away from it all, descending into sleep's welcoming embrace, letting the day's experiences dissolve into the general pool of memory that you carry but don't constantly examine. Tomorrow will be work. Tomorrow will be climate systems and maintenance calls, corridors and lift stations, technical problems solved through skill and patience. Tomorrow will be Kate beside you, tools in hand, moving through your shift with competent efficiency. Tomorrow will be another day in an ordinary life, meaningful within its proper scale, contributing its small part to something larger. But tonight is just sleep, just rest, just the gentle darkness where consciousness dissolves and your body repairs itself and your mind processes the day without your awareness. This is what you earned today, not through extraordinary effort, but through simple completion of ordinary tasks. You maintained your life, your equipment, your relationships, and your living space. That's enough. That's complete. Sleep now, climate technician. Sleep, resident of level 2847. Sleep, small part of vast Coruscant. Let the city planet function without you for these hours. Let the systems maintain themselves. Let other workers take their shifts while you rest. Tomorrow will bring new responsibilities, new tasks, new small satisfactions, but tonight brings only sleep. The blue glow fades, or perhaps you've simply stopped seeing it. Kate's hum becomes distant, or perhaps you've stopped hearing it. The apartment wraps around you like a familiar blanket, or perhaps you've stopped feeling separate from it, becoming part of the space that's sheltered you for 4 years, that will shelter you for years more. That is home in the most fundamental sense. You may rest now. You have earned rest through honest work, honestly completed. Your day off has served its purpose perfectly. Neither wasted nor overstructured, neither lazy nor driven. Just the right balance between activity and rest. Tomorrow you'll return to routine, but tonight routine dissolves into peaceful formlessness. Sleep and let Coruscant's countless systems carry you through the night. The climate control will maintain perfect temperature. The air circulation will provide steady, breathable atmosphere. The building will stand firm against the vertical pressures of high-density construction. The city will continue its operation. Billions of beings, all living their own ordinary lives in this most extraordinary place. And you will sleep and rest and restore yourself and wake tomorrow ready to do it all again. The endless cycle of work and rest, of contribution and recovery, of giving what you can and taking what you need. This is life in the mid-levels. This is life on Coruscant. This is life, ordinary and extraordinary in equal measure, meaningful in its own quiet way. Good night, climate technician. Good night, Kate's companion. Good night, resident of the mid-levels. May your sleep be deep and your dreams be peaceful. May you wake restored, ready for tomorrow's shift, ready to maintain your small piece of the vast machinery that is Coruscant. The city planet watches over you, and you are home, and all is well. Sleep now. Good night.